So hey everybody. Yeah, thank you for joining community call for July. And yeah, today we have in our plans to have a demo from Oleg about the sidebar. This is something yeah, I guess Oleg will talk about that. And then just a couple of highlights from the last release. And then anything people want to discuss or propose or tell us. So yeah, so Oleg, you want to take it over?
Yeah, let me know if the screen is not visible. So I'm going to start. First, I want to just highlight a couple of features that we shipped recently. In the last release, we shipped the activities or tabs or windows. And basically, it means that you can now open multiple details, pop-up windows at once and minimize them, be able to work on multiple things at once. Quite easily, especially for desktop app where we didn't have any tabs whatsoever. So this should be a really nice change for everyone. These tabs stay open even if you switch between different clusters. So you can open like one pod from one cluster, another pod from a different cluster, and it will stay on screen. If you have too many of them, we have a nice little overview to keep track of everything. So yeah, try it out.
I don't think the activity bar is visible here in the screen, but that's a big part of it.
Let me make it bigger.
Oh, maybe it's my Zoom bar that was blocking it. Okay, but now I think it's more visible.
Yeah, so we have the little tab bar on the bottom. It shows which cluster the resource is coming from, then kind and name from it. And yeah, if you have any issues or like suggestions or some things like not intuitive, feel free to open issues. We'll take a look at that. We also had a feature where you could like drag the window completely freely, but after a little bit of discussion, we didn't decide to ship it yet. Maybe in the future. But yeah, that's the highlight of the latest release. We also issued some other improvements. For example, the startup time should now be a lot faster, especially for Windows OS. We switched up a couple things to make it faster. We added some more buttons to the list pages, so you can now create more resources easily. And yeah, that's mostly the stuff from the latest release that I wanted to highlight. Now let me show you the new sidebar for a sec. So we have requests and a couple of issues with our current sidebar that are kind of hard to address with our current setup. So we decided it would be nice to rework a little bit how it looks, how it behaves. So first thing is that we have a lot of new items in the sidebar. So we are adding like cluster API stuff, a lot of custom resources. So to accomplish that, we are making it a bit more compact and smaller, so you can now see more of the things at once. Another thing is that we are now allowing you to nest more than one level to allow custom resources to be grouped by their API group. So this is a very popular request that is currently not really possible with the current setup, but will be with the new sidebar, which we are excited to ship. Some other improvements here are regarding the navigation within the sidebar itself. So some of the links behave as just expanding or collapsing the item, but some links, for example, the workloads, is a separate page. So Currently, if you want to navigate to pods, you have to go through the workloads page first and then to pods. But here you can just expand and go directly to the page you want to go to without going through the other pages. Another feature that people are requesting is having favorites. So this is also will not be possible. So for example, if you have a pod and you want to keep it for later, you can start it and keep it in the favorites bar. You can also do the same things for full-fledged pages. So for example, if I want to save deployments, this is not final. This is still work in progress. So it might not look exactly like this. But the general idea is that you can put any page in the favorites bar and then bring it up later. And another thing is, since we're allowing for like deeply nested items, the tab navigation up top that we currently have when you have collapsed sidebar is not going to be really possible. So one possible solution here is that we're just going to use sidebar for everything and get rid of tabs. So if you collapse the sidebar, it kind of just shows the icons. And then when you hover on it, you can use it like a normal sidebar. Yeah, so that's the current state of the proof of concept of the sidebar. Hopefully we'll ship it soon. If you have any ideas or suggestions, this is a good time to discuss it. Yeah, and that's it from my side.
Great stuff, Oleg. Anyone has questions or suggestions? Okay. Yeah, so I was going to talk about the release, but I think Oleg already did a good job of covering most of the features, especially the Windows one. If you have played with the Windows or the new activity or taskbar, whatever we're calling it, and you have suggestions like, for example, oh, I have a large screen and I would like actually to move windows freely around. Let us know. Like Alex said, that was a feature that we had initially, but then we decided, okay, let's not ship it because maybe it's confusing. Yeah, but hopefully now this finally covers the use case that people were asking us for a while, which is, oh, I cannot open like a logs for two different pods or two different containers at the same time, or I cannot open like the terminal and quickly switch to the logs. I have to keep closing and opening. It's pretty cool now. Yeah, another thing just in this while we talk about features, another thing we're working on is the notion of projects. And this is something that I asked in a GitHub discussion. I think Josh here answered, and it was a good suggestion, Josh. So the idea is, you know, Headlamp is kind of a UI focused it's kind of a UI for operators, right? And one of the questions that we always get when we go to KubeCon or when we present it is, okay, they have a mode for like or a way for developers to visualize stuff in a more like developer centric or developer focused way, and we really don't. And so the idea for project is that, okay, you can say, I want to create a project that's called, I don't know, WordPress. And what that means is that anything that has this special label, Kubernetes.app/instance or so, which is what Josh suggested, equals WordPress, that's it. Or maybe it's like everything in a namespace WordPress. So we were debating like where to put the criteria. And we decided that the user will do that. The user will decide, okay, it's my project is everything in this cluster, or my project is everything in this label, or in these two labels. We're even talking about maybe using the advanced search, which allows to do like queries in JavaScript at the moment. And then it gives you a result. Maybe we can transform that query into the criteria for the project. So yeah, and once you get the project, the thing is that you go there. If you have storage, if you have configuration workloads and stuff, it shows it to you in a much more focused way. So in the end, you're still gonna end up seeing like a pod, for example. But when you go in, you don't have to search for it among all the other pods. You don't have to select the namespace. It's supposed to give it to you quickly, and also to have much more in-hand features like handy features like okay, troubleshooting. So what do you need for troubleshooting? Maybe you need the logs, maybe you need the terminal, maybe you need a couple of buttons to reboot, to restart stuff. And of course, maybe we even add some, we even sprinkle some LLM powered help for that. So that's coming up soon as well. Yeah, so Reza here is saying that he can show the ANP. After your message, I realized who you are on Slack. Other than I think people should work better on the Slack handles because this happens all the time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then yeah, and then for Chris here, I'm also happy to answer questions like you got about the PR stuff. So Reza, you wanna
Sure.
show stuff?
Uh, I would love to show the PR, not stuff, PR. But so hey everyone, my name is Reza. My day job is Project Calico, and like in the nights I add bugs. Sorry, I mean features to open source projects, not bugs, features. That being said, I don't know if you know about where the uh, Kubernetes community is going. We're sort of trying to figure out a new way to secure clusters. It's called, at the moment, admin network policy. So there's a bunch of things new with admin network policy. I would just say using writing a policy that can target all namespaces is one of them. There are some CNIs that support it. Um, OVN from OpenShift, Calico from Tigera, and some others do support it. Just check out our website, Network Policy API. Here is a QR code for it. So make sure to check it out. It tells you about admin network policy. That being said, now that I'm done with the promotion of it, let's talk about Headlamp. So in Headlamp, currently, we can write network policies, but we can't write admin network policies. Now, that is not a big issue at the moment because admin network policies are in an alpha phase, but uh, given that I do know how to work with Google and LLMs and those sort of stuff, I heard these terms are high traffic thingy, so I have to use them. But I could just add admin network policy here. So this would be what I'm trying to imagine. There are some bits and differences between network policy, like traditional and admin network policy. So the biggest difference is in an admin network policy, we have something called subject. And that subject can target, can branch into two things. One would be namespaces, the other one would be pods. The difference here is when you're using pods, you could have a pod selector and a namespace selector. So here I'm using pods. It shows you an icon of namespace, an icon of pods. If you go to it, it says your namespace selector is app headlamp. Your pod selector is pod app headlamp. Again, it depends on your policy. If you dig in, it will show you, all right, same thing, your subject selector. I'm trying to have the same experience at network policies tab as much as I can. But one of the things that I sort of need to figure out is how to actually show the subject. At the moment, I have two ideas. One is to show icons, the other one is text. I'm a big fan of texts, but not everybody has a processor in their brain. So I know, but the idea is we need to figure out a way to better present this fields or these selectors. Now, that being said, we can also add admin info policies using the UI. So basically, all you need to do is come to the admin info policy tab, click on plus, and then you get to, for instance, change this name, similar to network policies and all other resources that you can create. Everything is here. Well, it would help to add some bits and pieces of tooltips and those sort of stuff, but that is another story for the future, Reza. But for now, you can basically just change the name and apply it. You will get your policy in like a couple of seconds. Now, hopefully you're watching this on some sort of medium or you're watching it live. So there are a couple of GitHub. There's a issue and there's a PR. Currently, I'm trying to decide on how to actually show you the admin network policy experience. How would the subjects look? If you suggest something, I will take it to consideration and try to have a better version. If not, I'll just go ahead and try to do what I like to see. So this is your moment. If you think like it needs to change, it needs to be better, just let me know. I'll try my best to, find a way to put it into admin for policies. That being said, again, this is a future problem, but it's gonna also add some bits and pieces to maps. So it might show a different sort of map. I'm not gonna change the map with a wrench, but because admin info policies, as I said, is it can select your whole cluster or your cluster as a whole. There needs to be a little bit of tweak, maybe another parent sort of rectangle that uh, sort of selects everything. That being said, this is all at the moment for network policy, admin network policy API. As I said, it's alpha, so we are not in a rush, but it would be great to bolt it down before it's production ready from Kubernetes. And with that, my rambling is done.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Reza. That was cool. And the QR code just gave me an idea for when I present stuff in pub. Yeah, cool stuff.
Just to let you
yeah.
know, I take
Yeah.
royalty. Like you have to pay me each time that you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure that out. We'll make a deal. Yeah. So I mean, we really don't have like a style guideline or anything formal for people. We like that things are similar to the rest of the UI, so things look concise. But what to do in cases like this? Yeah, let's discuss that then in the PR. I think the just my opinion, looking at the stuff that you presented, I think the icons alone may be a bit confusing because you're reading the same texts and then you have to figure out that the icons are different, but what do they represent? So maybe you have to hover. I also prefer to have right in your face and S colon or namespace or whatever, right? But yeah, but another thing just related to that. So I think we've been reviewing a couple of your things and of course other PRs, but the truth is that ever since for like 6 months, the amount of PRs increased dramatically, and that's a good thing, of course. But also the size of the team did not increase, of the core team, and so sometimes we sometimes we take very long to get to PRs or to keep it going. When that happens, I appreciate that people call us on Slack, say, hey, what about this thing? And then if we don't have the time, we'll let you know. But yeah, it's just that it's been a couple of occasions where we actually dropped the ball on some PRs just because it's just too much, and we also have to get the project going. And yeah, but it's good that I really like that you're doing that feature, and I think you're right that okay, it's alpha for now, but if we have it already when it's when it goes from alpha, I think it's better than having to catch up with all the features that Kubernetes has. Yeah, and I think Oleg also had something that he um, worked on a little bit, but we need to iterate on that, which was at least to provide some basic information or some basic views, even when we don't directly support a like a cluster resource. For example, stuff that we didn't account for, right? New APIs and stuff. If we go there and we select, we show from the URL the kind and the API group and stuff like that, then Headlamp should be able to pick it up and at least show something to the user, even if it's not like of course we always have to specialize that view and to make it show something custom, but that's a good thing to have as a sitecom. Cool. We have more comments for Reza?
I have a general question about feature gates. Does Headlamp check that a feature gate is enabled before displaying that? Because I can see where it could be confusing if you're on a version that doesn't have that API, right? And then it's displayed.
So I don't know if Headlamp checks it, but it will be similar to Gateway API. So at the moment, if you don't have Gateway API resources in your cluster, you would go to that place and it just says, oh, resources are not found. We could make that error a little bit better, but again, that would be something great for the PR.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. We usually just check, okay, if something doesn't exist, we show an error. I also agree that the Gateway API one, it just keeps scrolling, like rotating for a while and probably longer than we needed. Yeah, the other thing is like we use this pattern that if you don't have the permissions to, for example, delete a pod, then we don't show the delete button, rather than showing a disable button, or rather than letting you click the button and then to show you an error. We prefer that to be the way, because then different users can have like, okay, you only want like a read-only cluster, then that should be it. You don't have to, like the buttons, the destructive actions will not be shown. But that's not the case when it comes, for example, to the sidebar. And I'm not sure if that would be a good idea or not to say, hey, you don't have the gateway even, it's not even present. Like, why should we show the gateway sidebar icon? Same with anything, right? If you don't have anything in configuration, well, maybe you do. But other places where we don't have stuff, maybe you don't have cron jobs, right? Should we show the cron jobs? But what if the user looks for the cron jobs and they're not there, right? What if the user looks for Gateway API is not there? They're expecting to have it, but it's not there because we think it's the user is not expecting to see it, right? So there's always this decisions we need to make. And one thing is for sure, like I think as much as Oleg can work on the sidebar to make it more scalable, I think Kubernetes evolves in a way where we have to keep grouping things, otherwise it goes out of tournament. And it's going to be difficult to have everything showing. Cool. Do we have any more comments for Reza before we pass it on to Krish? Okay, so yeah, so Reza, let's keep reviewing the PR, and I can give you more comments, or if I don't in like tomorrow, so just drop me a line with like. Yeah, cool. And thanks for presenting this. This is exactly why we like to organize these calls. Okay, Krish, what's up?
Hi guys. I'm a new contributor here, so I just have really basic doubts here. So couple of my so I guess one of the first PRs that I did was really basic here. and some of the commit messages got messed up. So I was just wondering that should I close the PR or like should I redo the commit messages somehow?
Sorry, I was muted.
Uh,
Classic. What PR was that?
uh, should I just share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Oh, looks like I can't share my screen right now.
If the question is about commit messages, you can update commits within the same pull request. You don't have to open a new pull request for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just locally update the messages and force push on that branch, and they should be good.
Oh, sure. And like the second issue which I was working on was defining behavior for the clashing plugins, right? So there was a couple of queries that I mentioned and were answered in the GitHub comments. Thank you, Joachim. So in the last 4 hours, you also mentioned something like we should just have the user do an npm run start so that the plugins could be copied in the new dev plugins folder. Am I correct?
Yeah, so the idea here is that everything should work as before. The only difference is that when you run the npm run start within a plugin, what that is currently doing is compiling the plugin and then copying the compiled, the bundled plugin code and the package.json into the expected plugins folder, right? And this expected plugins folder is just called plugins. It's a folder inside Headlamp's configuration folder, which on Unix is like home, is your home .config/headlamp, and then inside you're gonna find the plugins. What we're talking about is the same thing, but instead of moving it to plugins, right? Because that folder is also used for other plugins. We move it to a dev minus plugins. And this is only I think this is only interesting because then we can add an option for Headlamp to say, okay, don't load right now, maybe something even in the UI, do not load development plugins, right? So maybe you want to show Headlamp, or you want to use Headlamp in a way that your current development is not interfering. Then you can just say, okay, reload without the development plugins, which right now implies that you go and you nuke that entire directory. So it's just this part. It's just that when it moves the plugin, it should go into a different folder, not that one. That's what I meant.
Sure. So, but my question is like a user who wants to develop any plugin, he can just like if I'm a user and I'm just going on GitHub and cloning in a plugin and just running npm run start on it. So that code will be responsible for moving the plugin into the dev plugins folder, right?
Yeah.
Because
So, but when you do npm run start, what it actually does, even though you're running it inside a plugin that you copied, that you cloned, for example, the start command is actually running the Headlamp plugin, which is an npm package in itself, right? And that's what it's running. It's running a command in there. So that's the project that needs to be changed. Once we change that, once that plugin is upgraded to the new version of Headlamp plugin, then when the user runs npm run start, it will have already the new code that says, oh, I'm actually moving this plugin to this location, this new location.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it for this. And
Yeah.
like I was just working on like whilst I was waiting for your reply on this, I just started some work on storing tokens in the backend issue. I hope that's comfortable. Like that's issue I saw that open.
Yeah. Yeah. So that issue, I think Oleg has been working on something like that. Not really storing in the backend, but like making cookies like token secure in a cookie rather than the current approach. I would say, yeah, I think if there is no one assigned, yeah, it's a problem that sometimes we start working on stuff and because we discuss it and we don't assign ourselves immediately to the task. But if it's a task that is not like a trivial thing, right? So I think we have somewhere in the contribution thing that we expect people to talk to us first, and at least tell us what the plan is, because it's been the case that sometimes people start working on something that is kind of elaborate, and then they're going in a direction that can be improved, and then it's kind of, okay, you already spent so much time, but that's actually not really the direction we would like to go for. So yeah, so maybe drop a couple of lines in that issue and tag Oleg.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's
I have
probably
a
worth doing that.
thing like the API system and the sessions storage system, a design ready. I'll just post it into the GitHub issues.
Yeah, that token issue, I've been working on it for a while. It's like close to being done. It's my bad on my side that I didn't assign it to myself.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm sorry, but that task
No,
is
no issues.
already being worked on.
Cool. I'll just continue my work on the defining behavior for the Clash and plugins. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and that's a feature that it's also very important. So yeah, if you feel like we're not reviewing, again, ping us on Slack. We also, for example, because of this issue with so many PRs open or being open. And again, it's a good issue to have, right? That means people are contributing. It's just that we don't want them to be mad that we take too long to review stuff. Internally, we talked about having what we're calling a review day. So at least one day in the week where we're supposed to only do reviews or mostly reviews. That day, I think, like we also talked this week that we should probably publish those days in a way that is visible to the community, so people can have, at least to manage the expectation that, okay, I think most of the days that people define are towards the end of the week. So if they open a PR on Monday, maybe it will not be looked at until later in the week, right? So I think I think we can do this. And the commit messages stuff that you said, we do have in our contribution guide at some point, maybe it's hidden in a couple of levels of links. We do have like the style that we follow for the commit messages, but I think that's usually not enough. I think we need to make sure that we put that like in the PR template directly. Not saying in the template like, oh yeah, be sure that you look into the contribution thing. That's a little bit wishful thinking, but maybe saying like one check mark saying the commit title is in this form. I think that's much more direct, and that's something that probably we can do to avoid people putting some messages, and we have to request that, and there's some back and forth just for that. Yeah, maybe there are already like systems that check that, especially now with the LLMs and stuff. I'm pretty sure that there's a way that we could do that, but yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Maybe we can add it in the pre-commit check.
Yeah, the thing is,
Yeah.
the pre-commit thing, we don't have such a rigid way. Like some people say, okay, it has to start with issue, feature, or whatever, right? And we don't have that. Like we try to make sure that we say which module it is about, like front end or back end at least, and then sometimes like, okay, if it's the front end, but also put like the component where it is, but it's not so strict, and that's on purpose. But also we cannot just have something called, I'm not saying it's the case with yours, but we cannot have something just called fixed issue, right? Or
Correct.
or doing something that is very different, because then it's a mess when we have to dig through the messages.
Correct.
Cool.
Just last question, like,
go ahead.
is Headlamp planning to apply for the LFX term 3?
I think So that part, by the way, is always depends on the engineers in the team, if they want to do it or not, because in the end, it's going to be their time related to it. I know that there is interest. I would say that it's probably less projects than less time.
Okay, thanks.
Very likely. Yeah. Yeah, and then that project is cool, right? It's just that I think people were saying, we're discussing that maybe have less time now to handle it, but it's cool to have you know, mostly students, right, coming in and contributing, and yeah. And I think even outside of the mentorship, of course, the mentorship is nice, but it's always cool to contribute to such projects now, especially now that we are part of the CUI, because it's, you know, makes it more official, and at least looking back how when I was at university contributing to an open source project that is under the Kubernetes umbrella is always something that I think can open doors, besides the knowledge, of course. Case.
Correct. Thank you.
Cool. All right, and by the way, we're also very close to finishing our AI assistant, so it's gonna be cool. It's a chat thing that is integrated with Headlamp and integrates with the cluster context, and yeah, and I'm hoping that we can also release that very soon. Do you have any other suggestions, questions, comments? All right, if not, then thank you so much to everybody, and see you on Slack, and see you the next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.